As the good news is pouring in America with the gay marriage decision today from the Supreme Court, we have some horrible news abroad. There were 3 terrorist attacks at roughly the same time, in the same day, basically. One of them was in Tunisia. Let me give you some facts on that one. 2 gunmen rushed from the beach into a hotel in a resort town, killing at least 28 people and wounding 36 others. So, incredibly high casualty rate. They had AK-47s. One of them was taken out during the attack, and the other is still on the loose. They say, quote, "There were no details about the nationalities of the victims, but during the holy month of Ramadan, Tunisia's Muslim population is less likely to go to the beach, so those there would have been predominantly foreign tourists. Local radio said most of the dead were German or British." Now, this is like in March, there was an attack at the National Museum in Tunisia, and 22 people were killed in that attack. And they say it appears to be a group with ties to ISIS. Perhaps that's fairly unsurprising here. Another attack happened at a Shia mosque in Kuwait. 25 were killed there. More than 200 people were injured. Of course, this is adding to a bunch of other attacks on Shia mosques. There were some recently in Saudi Arabia, and it's been a recurring thing now. Again, ISIS took responsibility. The bomber was named Abu Suleiman al-Muwahid, and he said in a statement posted on social media that he had targeted a, quote, "temple of the rejectionists," which is a term it generally uses to refer to Shias, who they think are heretics. And then we also have this from the AP, quote, "An attacker with suspected ties to French Islamic radicals rammed a car into a gas factory Friday in southeastern France. A severed head was found staked on a gate at the factory's entrance in what appeared to be an echo of the Islamic State group's practice of beheading prisoners and displaying their heads for all to see. An official said 2 flags, one white and one black, both with Arabic inscriptions, were found nearby." Again, since I came on air, I think Islamic State is taking responsibility for that. And what's really interesting, the BBC is reporting that while most Muslims view Ramadan as a time for peace and fasting, you have the Islamic State, the Wahhabists, they view this as a time for jihad. They view it as a time for war. They view it as a time to buckle down and fight. And that's one of the reasons why, you're seeing so many attacks basically on the same day. Now, there was one article in the Daily Beast that said they're not connected, but at the same time, you do have, in all the different stories, they say, groups that claim to be aligned with ISIS. That's enough of a connection for me. That's enough of a connection for me to say, all right, we have an issue here. And they're so convinced that they're right. They're so convinced Allah is on my side. If Allah is so powerful, if Allah is so strong, if you're so sure that he's on your side, why do you need to kill so many Shias and kill so many moderate Sunnis and kill so many Westerners? Why do you need to do that? You don't need to do that. So it's sick and it's twisted, and what's going to happen here is, and as again was rightly pointed out on the BBC, what they're saying is, specifically in Syria and Iraq, you have Kurds and Shia militias that are kind of, the tides have been turned a little bit, and they're kind of kicking ISIS's ass there now. There were a lot of articles about that this week. So what a lot of people are speculating is, this is actually ISIS saying, okay, we're losing on these fronts, let's go into those fronts and do terrorist attacks against civilians in these places, and then that'll show people that we're so strong and we're so macho. How the fuck does that make you macho? First of all, thanks for admitting that you're losing on the other fronts, so you're desperate by going to these places, but how the fuck does that make you macho? How does that make you macho? I gunned down a civilian who was sunbathing. Look how strong I am. I bet Allah really loves me. How can somebody's mind get so perverted and so twisted to think that by killing somebody innocent, I am more moral? That's the part that always baffles me about religious fundamentalists, whether it's Christians here or whether it's Muslims in the Middle East, is that the fundamentalists are convinced that when they do the things that are the height of immorality, I am doing what is most moral. You're not doing what's most moral. And what you're doing is you're interpreting the most backwards, strict interpretation of a religion, and the consequences are an uprising against you now. And again, what you're going to see here is the Shia community, the Shia populations are going to continue to rise up now against these Wahhabists, and you're going to see moderate Sunni populations continue to reject them as well. And I don't know if I'm totally on board with the argument that this shows that they're in their last throes because they're going to other places now to make a statement, but it certainly shows you that their recruiting strategy is not as brilliant as many people have argued that it is. I told you guys from day one when the articles were breaking about it that the reason why ISIS had so much success in terms of territory is not because of the fucking religious lunatics who are in ISIS. Those guys are fucking idiots. The reason why they were successful in terms of grabbing territory is the Baathists, Saddam's former generals. Saddam was, of course, a Sunni, but he was a secular Sunni. He was a Baathist. And when the U.S. government went into Iraq and de-Baathified the government, you pissed off the entire Baathist population. They weren't going to be with Maliki and the Shias. They hated the Shias. So what are they going to do? They had no choice. Okay, I guess we'll team up with these other guys who are Sunnis, even though they're fucking religious kooks and we don't agree with the religious aspect of it. But hey, maybe we can get back in power by riding them to the top. So they teamed up, and then you had Saddam's generals take all the territory in Iraq and Syria, and then everybody goes, oh my god, ISIS, they're geniuses in how they were able to take so much territory. No, they're not. The Baathists are the ones who know what the fuck they're doing. ISIS are just as dumb as you fucking think they are, by literally believing a fundamentalist interpretation of Islam. So, what's going to happen from here? Again, with one of the top leaders, one of Saddam's top generals being killed, ooh, that hurts them. Al-Baghdadi doesn't know how much that hurts him because he's not the mastermind of grabbing a bunch of territory. And again, with Shia militias kicking their ass now and the Kurds kicking their ass now and them resorting to stuff like this, who knows, man, TikTok. And like we discussed not too long ago, the Taliban and Hamas are now fighting ISIS. Whoa, son. Hamas doesn't want to lose power in Palestinian territories and in Gaza. And ISIS gained some traction there, so they were like, fuck that. They bulldozed a mosque because they thought ISIS was in that mosque. They killed somebody who was in ISIS and fucking put him in, like, the center square or something. The Taliban was like, son, don't fuck with us. Do not fuck with us. We covered that story recently. So let's see. You lost the Taliban. You lost Hamas. You lost moderate Sunnis. You lost you never had the fucking Shias. You declared from the beginning they're your enemies. We'll see what happens.